Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Danielle Pena. I am a civil rights practitioner in San Diego, California, and I specialize in police misconduct law. I got into police misconduct law because I myself have been oppressed, and I have a voice and a legal pulpit to help others, and so I only hope to achieve that. Unfortunate in custody death of Gilbert Gill is what brought us to the initiative. And specifically, it was a lot of unanswered questions, and sometimes questions that the family fielded from the sheriff's homicide unit that just felt a little fishy. And, unfortunately, when you poke around and you ask questions, the sheriff's don't want to give you a response. So this was a situation in that the family felt that there was a lot of uncertainty and a lot of secrecy surrounding the cause of Gill's death. And we really needed an independent examiner to come in and give us some unbiased and unfiltered analysis and findings of what happened to Gill when he was left in that cell for 16 hours. It's important to realize at this stage, when someone passes in jail, if at the best, the family's going to get a phone call or a card that's on their window or their door, and they're going to have to call the coroner's office and ask what happened. And 10 times out of 10, the coroner is not going to tell them what happened. And so it is important to kind of get ahead of these things. And at this rate, you have to do your own kind of investigation, and that's really where this initiative is thriving. Having information from the sheriff's homicide unit and information from a medical examiner's report, it's nearly impossible to file a lawsuit or a claim, which is the predicating the lawsuit. It's impossible to do that without some sort of information. And so now post-COVID, we're not getting those ME reports until 9 or 10 months later, which again is so imperative of having something like the initiative who can come in and give the family some information, answer some questions about how this poor man died, and those preliminary findings in this case are the backbone and the basis for their lawsuit against the county. The importance of the preliminary findings in this case meant the difference between filing their claim or not. And what I mean by that is the county, on the day they released public notification of Mr. Gill's death, they blamed it on COVID and methamphetamine use, and implying that he, swallowed or stuffed methamphetamine, which the toxicology report indicated that is not what happened. Due to some questions from the sheriff's deputies after Gill had passed, they asked the family weird questions about a potential use of force inside of the jail. And we could tell from the jail medical records, which are 20 pages in total, that he was having a very high testing for his sugar levels, and that his heart palpitations were really irregular. And as he was cleared from the hospital, the jail was told, hey, keep an eye on him. They didn't keep an eye on him, although they put him in a medical cell. They left him there unmonitored for 16 hours. And the family was left to believe, well, this must have been because he swallowed meth, because that's what the county publicly put out there in the newspaper. And it was that shock to the system that said, no, that doesn't feel right, which really led the family to call the initiative. And the initiative's preliminary findings were that Mr. Gill was asphyxiated to death, which is a stark contrast to a cause of death that the county ME is saying is natural and cardiac related. The initiative's findings were that there were bruises all over Mr. Gill's body, and that he asphyxiated himself. He could not breathe, akin to a George Floyd situation. And that is the basis of our lawsuit. And we are eager and awaiting the initiative's final findings. When someone passes, there is no information. And, even if the findings from the initiative don't lead to a basis for a lawsuit, you guys are at least providing these families with answers 8 months, 9 months before the sheriff's medical examiner can do that. And at the very least, even if there aren't these stark contrasts in a cause of death, you guys are providing a service that is really helping heal people and really preventing a lot of trauma. And so at the very least, there's so much good being done. In this particular case, the second autopsy provided the basis for a lawsuit. Of course, the initial autopsy from the county took 10 months, so we wouldn't have been able to even file a lawsuit prior to then because we would have had no information, but for the preliminary findings from the initiative. So without you guys, we wouldn't have been able to file a claim. Now that we can move on to filing a lawsuit, the stark contrast is between the two reports. It's the difference between murder and a natural cause of death. If Gill died from a lingering heart condition, that's a natural cause of death. If Gill was asphyxiated, that's murder, it's homicide. And so the findings of having a second autopsy report, it could be the matter of life and death, at least for Mr. Gill's family. Having a institution like the initiative backed by someone like Colin Kaepernick, who I believe has the similar passion that I have for fighting these injustices and getting some answers, it means the world of difference, and it provides a level of comfort and quality in knowing that this service can provide a difference. And the fact that the initiative was able to do that with a smile and a bleeding heart and helping these families pay for all of the costs, it's short of a miracle for all of these families. And I've seen Jennifer, I've seen my client, crying in elation in a time where she has been drowned in trauma because you guys have given her some answers and some hope. The initiative has brought my client a sense of hope, a sense of being heard when you get a call or a business card put on your windshield alerting you that a loved one has passed. There is no information beyond that. You are at a stalemate, and having the initiative come in and listen and pay for an independent autopsy and then provide those answers, the feeling that left my client is really inarticulable, because when you're just drowning in trauma, any glimmer of hope is worth everything. We were able to actually have a phone conversation, myself and my client and the pathologist, and we were able to hear his reasonings for his preliminary findings, and we were able to ask him questions. And the fact that my client had the ability to talk to a pathologist who knows exactly what happened to her father and get some straight answers, again, it is the basis of our lawsuit, and it is the reason why we are so grateful to the initiative, because without being able to have a one-on-one with the pathologist and really understand what happened inside that jail cell, we wouldn't be able to move forward. So far, since I have been dealing with the initiative, I have had a direct contact, and that contact she keeps me in the loop. She is a direct liaison between the pathologist. She answers my client's questions and gives her the feedback that she's just kind of yearning for right now so she can figure out what happened to her father. So every interaction I have had with the personnel at the initiative has been beyond extraordinary. Of course, due to my personal experience with the initiative, I will and have recommended the initiative to other attorneys and other families. And in fact, I think you guys took on a case by Sharon Bruner, and I mentioned how amazing your initiative was and what we were able to glean from it, and I think they gave you guys a call, and so your impact is just resounding.